Craig, Chairman of RABDF, and on behalf of RABDF, George and Hallam, and the team at RABDF, I'd like to give you a very warm welcome to Bisterne Farms and welcome you along to the 2023 RABDF Gold Cup Winners Open Day. Now, before I hand you over to George Brown and Hallam, who will talk in a little bit more detail about the farming system here on the farm, I'd just like to briefly explain what you can expect to see today at Bisterne Farms, and of course thank our sponsors. So firstly, a big thank you to NMR, our award sponsors, for their support in the competition, assisting with the judging, printing the farm guide today, and of course providing the refreshments on their stand just outside in the farmyard. Not forgetting the sponsorship of the bacon rolls that you probably all enjoyed after your long drive here, that's Kite Consulting. So a huge thank you to all of them for supporting us in the day. But in addition to this, we've got about 35 trade stands around the farmyard exhibiting. So also many thanks for your support today. We really do appreciate it at RABDF. Now, as one of the judges this year, so just before I hand you over to George, I'm going to explain just what really made Bisterne Farms the winner really of the Gold Cup last year. And I've been involved in the sifting for quite a few years, but they've never actually let me out on farm. So this was the first time I was actually on farm judging the competition. And as the Gold Cup has evolved over the years, it's become a very broad competition, which is incredibly difficult to judge. Now, we had 4 finalists this year, all displaying completely different systems, different genetics, different KPIs that drove the system, all operating at the very top of their game, but it made it an incredibly difficult competition to judge. What I'd like to say is when we arrived here at Bisterne Farms, from the very moment we stepped out of our vehicles, we found a very highly prepared team focused on achieving the business targets of the chosen production system. Across the whole team, there was great clarity and really excellent communication and leadership. The attention to detail was admirable across the whole business, with a real sense of shared responsibility and ownership. We had access to the whole team from the moment we arrived to the moment we left. And actually, being early December, it was pretty late to be judging a grazing system. But it was very clear from getting to the farm that George was running a very technically efficient and financially efficient business, operating at the highest level, optimizing the farming assets that he had at his disposal, and generating a considerable and consistent cash surplus. The focus on people and development progression was great to see, as was the environmental focus and the community engagement, working both with his milk buyer and also Open Farm Sunday. I must thank my fellow judges in the process. So this was Karen Bond from NMR, John Torrance, the 2022 Gold Cup winner, and of course Di Wastonage, trustee and ex-chairman of RABDF. I'd just like now to hand you over to George and Hallam to explain a little bit more about what they do here at Bisterne Farms.
Thank you, Robert. It's not very comfortable hearing people sing your praises in front of a big crowd, so thank you. For those of you that don't know me, so my name's George Brown and this is Hallam Mills. And I'm conscious that we have a much more exciting speaker still to come in, Chris, who is about to announce some big milk price rises, so we don't intend to take too long. We're involved in a couple of really great discussion groups facilitated by LIC. And in one of those groups, there is an outstanding farmer who entered the Gold Cup and was a finalist 2 years ago. Without his encouragement and him sort of setting that as a path, there is no way that we would have entered. So Mark, if you are here somewhere hiding in the background, thank you. We're hugely appreciative. You're an unbelievable role model for me. And yes, my team is very much holding you personally responsible for the last 2 weeks that we have spent pressure washing. So thank you for that. More importantly, though, I guess, no offence, we should move on to the team here. I realise there's 2 of us stood on a straw bale at the front, but crikey, we do very little really compared to the wider team. It won't come as a surprise that there's a lot of people in the background making all this happen. Hallam and I are acutely aware that we couldn't hope to have a better team of people here with us on farm. So I did write them in alphabetical order because I had to make sure I definitely didn't forget anybody. But Adam, Brandon, Charlotte, Jimmy, Ollie and Rowan, thank you all. Your efforts are absolutely noted and hugely appreciated. So thank you very much for that. A final one from me, I suppose, is that I really should say thank you to Hallam as well. So the greatest advocate really when things are going well, and also probably the most supportive business partner that you could have when we have quite literally been picking through the rubble on multiple occasions. To those of, like, we might make contract farming look easy, and I guess it is, but it's only easy when you work with outstanding people. So yeah, we are very supportive and very appreciative of your help. Anyway, that was getting a bit soppy. So, details of the farm. Right, people when they come here would sometimes say that we look like we've got a slightly complicated farming business, which I've got 3 minutes to explain. We milk about 600 cows, 400 calve in the autumn, 200-ish calve in the spring. The autumn self-feed on some silage in the winter and graze in the summer. And then the springs graze in the summer and they go to some fodder beet in the winter. My notes say that we are a free draining farm in a low rainfall area, and that is generally the case. In the summer we burn up really quickly, and so that's kind of why we've got this split calving pattern. It enables us to kind of make use of our limited winter milking infrastructure, and then also kind of have loads of cows milking and eating grass when the grass is really growing. So that's kind of why we've got this split calving pattern. To make our split calving system simple, all the heifers are reared to the autumn block. We serve the autumns for 6 weeks, and then all the empties join the spring block, which is all served to beef. And you guys today, I think, have walked in past the spring calving cows, who I am aware do look a little bit thinner than we would ideally like, but winning the Gold Cup does not protect you from the last 6 months of weather, so we are just where we are with them. We're in year 5 of a 5-year contract farming agreement, and I'm hugely grateful for the fact that we've just signed another 10 years. So we've got some longevity here, which is fantastic. In terms of today, so where we're up to today, there's some guys in the audience that are into yield, so I'm going to try and play top trumps with our low yielding cows. So the spring calving cows today, they're doing about 26 litres when we milk recorded last week, 1.92 kilos of milk solids. The autumns are doing 18 litres at 1.56 kilos of milk solids. Today is day 22 of breeding. In the first 21 days, we've served 253 of 285 cows, so that's like an 89% submission rate, which LIC will later tell you is slightly below target. For the grazing fans, we're growing as much grass in the last week as we've ever grown here. Loads of the farm is shut for silage and car parking, yeah, it's a fairly good time to come see a grazing farm. I was told recently, someone came up to us the other day and said, and I quote, "It's so nice to see just an average farm winning the Gold Cup," which they then went on to viciously explain was actually a compliment, so I think it was. I'm going to pass over to Hallam, who wanted to say a few words about kind of the estate and some of the environmental work we're doing here. But yeah, just for me to finish off, thank you so much for coming. We are hugely appreciative of everyone turning up, so thank you.
When you told me not to turn up at Birmingham because you couldn't possibly win, and you sent me away on a holiday, I knew I was in for a good surprise. So that phone call telling me that you'd won was amazing, so congratulations. Really. George does 99% of the work, and I look on and applaud. The main skill that George brings here for me as a landowner is that he integrates so well with the rest of the estate and looks after the gamekeeper, looks after the forestry people, looks after the arable manager and the environment very well indeed. So really, the beating heart of the estate is the dairy, and it's something I'm incredibly proud of. And I vastly prefer cows to horses. We have got 1 horse in the family, and that takes up more time than 600 cows. But I do love horses. And the estate itself is very conservation-minded. Now, all landowners say that nowadays, but we've been in probably 98% of our area has been in conservation agreements, some for 20 years, and we're still trying to add layers to that. And it is home to 8 out of 10 are the rarest reptiles, and we were talking about sand lizards and crested newts yesterday with the New Forest. We've got most of the red list birds that we could possibly have here, and that's just by doing very little with nature and letting it get on with life. And the dairy is extremely good at sort of seeing what we're trying to do, and I thank George warmly for his help in that. You'll be worried when you look at me about the future, of course, and George is always worried about the future and succession. So there's someone in a green sweater over there, who's my son Leo, and he is the future, and I am rapidly becoming the past, but we are making sure that succession goes well, and I'll be looking after the farm for a couple of years still, yet, I hope, if I'm allowed to. I've done more than 90 seconds. I'll hand back. But George, it's been a pleasure. It's been great fun. It's been great fun.
Introduce Chris Walkland, aka everyone's favourite dairy market analyst, to the stage. You're probably all familiar with Chris's ramblings weekly on the Kite podcast that I'm certainly an avid consumer of, just to get back up to date in the fast-moving pace of the dairy industry. So a little bit of crystal ball gazing. GDT yesterday up a bit, slightly lower than expected peak, so things will be warming up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, thank you very much, and hello. Good morning, and what a pleasure it is to address you, and what a great time to be doing so. After what I tell you today, you'll all be hugging each other and kissing strangers. It's that good. Before I go on to milk prices, though, I would just like to say I can't think of a time in recent years where we've had so much investment from so many processors in this industry. We've got Mona Dairies and the Pembrokeshire Creamery in Wales, Arla's massive investment in Devon, and 4 other plants around the country. We've got Dale Farm in Northern Ireland, and just up the road, Freshways are spending a bit of money at Watson's, and will soon be kitting out a new factory in Birmingham. It's a fantastic amount of investment and a huge vote of confidence in UK dairy. But this is all well and good, and you've all got your own investing to do. And my message to those processors and those who buy from them, so the end-use buyers, is do not take your farmers and your milk supply for granted. And I think more than a few of them do. I think several think that the milk, your milk, will just keep on coming no matter what happens, regardless of what you get paid or what rules and regulations, caps and constraints get thrown at you. I'm not sure the milk will keep coming. So if there are any members of the press here, please help spread that message. It needs to be heard loud and clear. Because if there's one thing that's become obvious over the last few weeks, is that dairy buyers, that's the end-use buyers I talk about, not necessarily all processors, do take your milk for granted. Those end-use buyers have been told for months and months about the bad weather and the net effect that would have on your land and your cows and yourselves. As far back as last July, I told them the impact that the gulf between milk prices and cost of production would have a negative effect on milk volumes several months hence. But they did not listen. They ignored all such advice and comment that milk would become short and thought that it would just come rolling off your farms, come what may. And I'm afraid, lady and gentle teat pullers, those furthest away from the farm gate think they know more about what's happening at the farm gate than you do. They think they know best. But this week, those buyers got a shock. They woke up at last to the fact that there is not going to be a surplus of milk swilling around the market that they were expecting. They woke up to the fact that commodity prices would not be falling as they have predicted. They woke up to the fact that instead prices would be going up and fast. And that is what has happened. There has been a surge in prices over the last week. Allow me to read out the latest market report, if I can find it on here, that I got this morning. Those who don't want to read another report about a bullish market should stop reading, because bullish news is pushing the prices in the dairy market up again this week. Butter prices are trading higher, there's a firm GDT, liquids are getting firmer, and it seems prices can only trade up from here. Less milk, steady to firm supply, and low stocks all point to the same direction. And more traders start to accept the reality. It feels 2021 all over again, where an over-optimistic forecast of milk production caught the market by surprise. Normally we would follow up with the other side of the argument, but frankly, we can't see the other side of the argument. So butter is leading the charge. At the start of last week, prices were about 5,000 sterling. By the end, they were about 5,400. In euro terms, last week, this is the benchmark, the Dutch quotation topped 6,000 euros for the first time since November 22. Today's trades are 6,600. There's talk of 7,700 coming down the line. So these prices look as if they are set for a good while yet. Stocks, as I said, are low or non-existent. And cream's coming up on the back of that. Butter and cheese. Butter will be dragging up the cheese price as well. So if you supply a cheesemaker, that's good news. Because if it didn't, then milk in Europe would move from cheese into butter powder. So whereas a couple of weeks ago, the mile price was 3,400, you're not going to get any traders sell for less than 3,650 now, I wouldn't say. And that's going to be going up to 3,700 before long. On skim powder's been a bit of an ugly sister in the market for several months now. But thanks to a rise on the GDT yesterday, that got a bit of a boost too. So the auction, that's playing a nice game at the moment. That's up 3.3% overall. And it took the average price to the highest since October 2022. And I reckon the milk price on those commodities equates to 37 to 38p. Most processors here will be paying a 2 to 3 premium on that, and that's before the recent price increases. And the futures, they're also pointing to much better times ahead. They had a great run last week. They're going to have a better one this week, I should imagine. So I think you can start today in very optimistic mood. There's more than a chance that milk prices will be going up, perhaps not next month, perhaps the month after that, because remember there is a 3-month lag normally in commodity prices moving and milk prices moving. And some processors have paid a lot more over the last few months than what they've got from commodities, so there might be a bit of a catch-up. So whereas I couldn't perhaps see 40p in the making a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, I can definitely see it in the making now and more. Supply and demand is obviously key. Demand is still not great, so I'm told, so it's all about supply. So if you all go mad and start feeding like crazy and producing a ton more milk, then you know what'll happen. But I also know that just like the buyers, you won't take any notice of that either. And on that note, I'll shut up, content in the knowledge that no one takes any notice of what I say, ever. Have a great day. Goodbye.
No, we're very happy to have entered the Gold Cup. We're having a really good day. It's obviously been a lot of preparation, of which the guys probably tell you more about than me. But no, it's a really good day. All the cows are really chilled out. We're quite used to hosting people. We do a big open prom Sunday, and we have university students here, ex-offenders. So it's not foreign to us to show people around. Yeah, we really enjoy it. We're used to it now, so lots of scrubbing and cleaning. But yeah.
I'm Brandon, I'm a student from Sparfield College. I've just finished my course and hoping to go on to full-time farm.
My name's Oliver. I mostly probably do a lot of the foot trimming and general herd data things on the computer and things like that. Yeah.
My name's Rowena Wedge and I am NMR's milk recorder for the farm.
I'm Charlotte, I've been here since December and I do a little bit of everything but focusing on the grass management of the farm.
My name's Adam, I tend to take care of young stock, milking and cracking on when we need to.
Well, Rowan, what do you do?
Not a lot.
So Rowan doesn't do a lot?
No.
Jack, what do you do?
I've just left Sparshall College, looking to go into dairying. George gave me an opportunity, so I took it and had a couple of weeks here. The team's loving it and everyone's respects you and it's really good.
I'm Jimmy, I do a bit of the staff training stuff, track driving, a bit of milking. Came here originally to milk cows full time and it's kind of gone from there really.
So me and my best mate Rowena here, we take a fair bit of responsibility for making sure the milk recording is done correctly and all our numbers are correct. We both really love it, don't we, Rowena? Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it helps us gain all the information we need to really home in on who our best cows are. Yeah, it gives us a lot of information. I think in terms of genetic gain, we look to a semen company to give us the best semen, and then we look at our cows, and that's where Rowena plays a big part in it with our milk recording. We combine them two things together to get the best calf, and that's how this business, I suppose, moving forward, that's how we always make the most genetic gain.
The equation in the herd, and we're really spoiled here because we are milk recording every month, so we've got a lot of data. So what the herd improvement tool is actually doing is it's looking at production by way of volume and milk solids. It's looking at fertility measured by days in milk, and as Pierce alluded to earlier, days in milk is one of the key drivers of profitability in our block herds. It's looking at your somatic cell count as a health measurement, and where we have it, we then apply live weight as a measure of efficiency. So what we're looking at is we're looking at the animals in George's herd based on each other as contemporary groups. How are they performing? Who's performing the best and who's not? Use the data, analyse it, have a look at it, set yourself some KPIs. Know what your base is, so you've got something to benchmark against. Don't forget your reproductive performance KPIs. 6 week in calf rate, we're looking for 78%. Submission rates, we're looking at 90%. If you are falling behind in those KPIs, please seek some advice, because we know with block we only get one go.
It's an average day.